Okay, welcome everybody to the Administrative Services Committee meeting. Our first order is approval of the minutes from last month's meeting.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
I second that.
I correct that from August meeting. Sorry, I didn't mean to, that wasn't last month, it was August.
I make a
You
motion
have a
to
motion?
approve August
Thank you.
minutes.
And a second?
Have a meeting.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Privilege of the floor. Anyone here that wants to talk to us? Larry, you made me nervous. You stood up when I said that. Okay, we'll close the privilege of the floor. Our first item is local law intro 1023, a local law amending the Chautauqua County Code of Ethics. Please state your name for the folks at home.
I'm Kristen Wright with the County Law Department.
Debbie Mikowski, Director of Human Resources.
Thank you all. What do you have for us?
Okay, so the Law Department was asked to draft amendments to the county's Code of Ethics. I will say that our program has grown over the years and improved wonderfully. And we get a lot of questions now that inspire changes to the code and concerns that people express. So this is, you've seen a lot of changes over the years, but it's really been great, and people are responding really well to our Code of Ethics. So this year's proposed changes include for family members, including adopted relations, to make sure that people understand that it's clear. To define nepotism, this has come up for years, where people have expressed comments, concerns, or asked questions about people perceiving nepotism taking place within county government. So we're putting language in here, and the first step is defining nepotism. Sticking with definitions, we're also expanding the definition of related person to include parents-in-law and grandparents and grandchildren, siblings-in-law, first cousins, aunt, uncle, niece, or nephew, in response to issues that people have raised about perceived nepotism. So the term related person that I just talked about, where we're looking at adding individuals to it, is used in several locations. It's in the definition of nepotism. It's also proposed to be used in lieu of family member in section 4C, which would mean that a county officer or employee couldn't endow a related person with a pecuniary or material benefit. So they couldn't approve their cousin's payroll, or they couldn't give their cousin a pay raise, or their parent or grandchild or whoever it may be. So that's how that change to related person would come into play with adding those new definitions. Then the next change would be adding a definition of supervising authority, which also is in the nepotism section. So what we're looking at for nepotism is to have first a disclosure. There are a lot of employees who are related to other county employees. And so the first thing would be to gain an understanding of who all is related. And Debbie, you have a form that you would have that people would fill out.
Correct.
For that to disclose, and it's just meant to give us an understanding of where the situations are, where problems may come up, and to give us the ability to preclude people from seeing situations that might appear to be problematic, which we've done many times, where you have a situation where spouses shouldn't be supervising each other already, in terms of, they shouldn't be approving payroll right now for each other, I should say. And they don't, but sometimes people feel as though they are. So by having this nepotism clause, people will have an office they can go to and say, hey, what's going on? why is this person approving their spouse's payroll? And they're not, and it's just another way to address it. And the ethics board is getting a lot of these questions and wondered if there was an opportunity for the county to handle some of these things in-house, so this will further that. In addition, with the new nepotism language as proposed, the county would have the ability to restrict an individual from making employment decisions concerning and supervising a related person. It's not an absolute ban on it. You cannot approve financial matters, pecuniary or material, but you still might be supervising someone right now, and this would give the county the ability to say yes or no, or if it's going to happen, these are the safeguards to be put into place. So it affords greater flexibility to the county to address some of these issues that have been a topic of a lot of concern recently to county employees. And the last section we're looking at changing pertains to use of county resources. It includes examples of county resources to help employees understand it's more than just about the money that you're spending to buy a widget. It affirms that county resources shall not be used in a manner that's illegal or in furtherance of illegal activities. And it prohibits the use of county resources for meaningful personal or private financial gain or for personal or private material benefit, except if it's part of your compensation, such as driving a vehicle home, because you've been given a county vehicle and that's where it's supposed to be, or if it's otherwise authorized. So the reason that it's meaningful personal or private financial gain or resources is it's okay for a county employee to plug in their cell phone at work. They might be using it for alarms to remind them to go to meetings. It's okay for someone to use county water to water their plants. That's the concept here. The county pays for the water. It's not looking to make those such things prohibited. It's looking to have any material use of resources, taking a whole day of county time when you're getting paid for county time and reporting it to the retirement system and spending it at the beach. That's not a good use of county resources. And then Debbie, you've seen some things in your office that you've worked on already.
Mm-hmm. Correct. There has been, I can't really say an increase in reports of potential areas of concern, because I only have the last year to base off of, but in recent months, there seems to be a rise in at least situations that have been brought to our attention. So I think making these changes in addition to implementing the disclosure would hopefully put us into a situation where we can be proactive instead of reactive.
Do county employees get, there must be some handbook or something that this is in, or how do they reference this stuff?
So
They come to you and then you reference it to them?
This would be part of annual training.
Yeah.
And then if I don't know if this has already been rolled out in the last batch
Annual
or
training.
yep,
So-
as the
Annual
right.
training.
So there's annual training, and I think it's every 5 years that we make sure to actually include the code of ethics and have everyone read it in the training. But the training always tells the employees where to find it. In addition, the training slides, we try to highlight information that's new or different to help people out.
And you do a nice job of that whenever I'm doing the training.
I think it's every year.
Yes, the training is every year.
And I think that part is too, though. I remember it freshly from last year.
I think so too, because I memorize all the training things.
I do.
So this is the training will highlight information that we feel will be really important for employees to be aware of, and so it may be okay. Well, there's this disclosure that we're asking employees that's now required. And when we're asking for it, you can't just say, "Oh, I don't want to fill that out." It's actually required, and so that's the type of information that would be highlighted in the training. We wouldn't necessarily, highlight, oh, it's adoptive relations as well in the training, because that might be on the disclosure statement itself. And that's the other piece you have, is a proposed updated disclosure statement form.
Oh, good.
Well, it's trying to make it easier, trying to
good.
reference definitions. In addition, it's being done online, and we're looking at the possibility of having it in a platform where you'll be able to see last year's form.
Oh,
Um,
good.
So we're working on that.
Yeah, yeah. This is good.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay, I don't wanna disturb your program, cause you're doing a great job. But why are we all taking HIPAA-related training when I don't think any of us have any, I don't wanna know what Bob's medical records look like, or anyone's, and I don't have any kind of access either, so I don't want access. I just don't know why we're all.
I'm gonna.
Just check that box, we don't want access.
I'm gonna open a can of worms here, but
Is it-
if you're using county
Oh.
email,
Okay,
which every employee should be using,
yeah,
and legislators are considered employees.
okay,
Is there anyone here not using it?
well, I just mean, like, I don't wanna know Bob's medical history,
All
or.
right, I'm guilty of not
and I
using
don't-
the county email.
I'm
I'm gonna
not,
sign
I
up
wasn't
for it
going,
tomorrow.
I wasn't going there at all, I wasn't, but,
I feel like I just
So
fouled out of the championship game. Me, I fouled.
I said it was a can of worms.
No, it's not. It's all good. Once I figure out how to do it and who to get me to help do it, John,
Maybe someone in IT can help.
I'm gonna call John directly.
So it's, like, when you're using the county email, all the information that you're using is considered confidential, or what?
No, I think the HIPAA training, when you aren't normally involved in protected information, it at the very least gives you the process how to report a potential violation if, say, someone sent you an email that you shouldn't have seen, that potentially contained
Sure.
protected information.
Got it.
Good answer.
that was a very good answer.
That's why she's in charge.
I know, that's right.
But this is not that,
No.
just to be clear.
This is this, yes.
And everybody has this training, so.
Yeah. I look forward to it. Okay. Any other questions or comments, or?
So those are the only changes?
Those are the changes that I'm highlighting. There are, lots of little things like a local law. It used to refer to local law 321. It's now as the most recent local law. Now it'll
Okay.
refer to local law 1022. So I also, you should have all received a memo highlighting what I just talked about, the changes, but we've also added as examples of pecuniary or material benefits, approving payroll, because that's approving someone to get paid, including the fact that they were actually at work earning their paycheck. We can give you track changes if you want, but I highlighted it. I didn't get into the detail of when the nepotism disclosure form is filed, but that's included in there. So there are more details to it. It's worth a read, but those are the highlights of what we're changing in response to requests that we have received and questions and concerns over the last year. And actually, the nepotism concerns started in 2015. So we've been looking at having a disclosure or doing something with it since 2015. And it's just finally gotten to the point where there have been so many concerns expressed that it was really time to look at that. And I'll just clarify, that doesn't mean there have been nepotism problems.
No.
It's the concerns that have been coming.
Yeah. I think it's good that it's in there, yes. Good job.
Yeah, thank you.
Very good, thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm staying put for the next one.
Well, enjoy.
Okay. Moving on. Proposed resolution, the standard workday and reporting resolution.
So this, sorry, Debbie Makowski, Director of Human Resources. Standard workday reporting for New York State and local retirement reporting process. I believe every single name listed is simply an update to the current term begin and end date. These are not new reports and nothing has changed.
Questions, comments, concerns? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doug. Okay, proposed resolution, amend the 2023 budget to implement the training lab renovations project using funding from American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA. Good job.
Good evening. John D'Angelo, Chief Information Officer for Chautauqua County. So this is a request to do a little bit of updating to our IT lab, which is in the basement of the Jurassic office building. It can hold up upwards of around 25 people and is used by essentially all departments, have access to it and they can reserve it. We have about 12 computers, laptops that we have down there for use as well. It's used probably 3 to 4 times a week by various departments. And it's got some updated video conferencing equipment that we did last year. And now we'd like to update a lot of the furniture. We actually, after the fire in Dunkirk several years ago, we took what furniture we could out of the lab there that we had, and we put it downstairs. So this is very old furniture. A lot of the chairs are breaking or broken. And so since it's used by all the departments, we thought it would be nice to have, you know, some updated furniture that actually is comfortable, because most of the time you're in there for several hours for a training. So this is a request to just update the furniture and that type of thing downstairs.
What color are the lazy boys gonna be?
We haven't picked that out yet. Well, I'll email you that on your county email, and you can respond to that. I'll send you color options. I should have waited till you voted before I said that. I want to retract that.
So what you're saying is I should ask Pierre what color the chair is?
Yeah. So,
We will get together on that now.
absolutely.
Yeah, I look forward to it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a request for 30,000, I believe.
Yes, yeah. Looks good. Any questions, comments, concerns?
I just have one question.
Sure.
That I'm sure is easy. So this already went through like ARPA committee and now
Yes,
it's- okay.
that is correct.
Yes.
All in
That's my-
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, John. We'll be talking to you.
I like this color. This.
In a plaid, maybe.
Periwinkle.
Periwinkle plaid.
Yeah, there you
All right, our next proposed resolution, amend the 2023 budget to amend and increase funding for the digitized records project within the Chautauqua County American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA spending plan. That's a long title. That's gotta be Larry.
Yeah, we brought visual aids.
Oh, boy.
Oh.
Can I touch this time?
Did you
Don't touch
just-
it.
She
you
moved
can.
it and it didn't fall.
Okay, see what you can do, Larry.
Take out it.
Now that you brought the carpet sample.
The wallpaper.
Kind of old.
Larry Barmore, County Clerk, and my very capable Deputy County Clerk, Emily Blevins. It's not gonna stay.
That's okay.
All right.
I can project.
Okay, the first resolution that we have before you, we were approved by the ARPA committee for a grant of 160. Told them not to call me, I have a meeting. We have a grant from ARPA for $160,000 for digitization. And we have $9,300 left over from a grant that we'd previously gotten in records. So we've just added on there because we're not going to be able to use it until next year. So we need to amend the budget. Is that correct, Mrs. Budget Director? Thank you. Basically what we're gonna do, these are our deed books. We brought down the oldest one we have that hasn't been restored. There's number 1 and number 2, but they've been restored. But you can kind of see how they look. These go back all the way to 1811, when we did things by hand, not by the computer. And then we brought a newer one, which is just in deplorable condition. And title searchers and genealogists and us use these every day.
Use these actual books.
Actual books, yes. And what we are going to do, we're not going to use the actual book. We have every one of these on silver microfilm, and we will send the silver microfilm. We started digitizing in 1997. I wasn't here then, so I don't remember what the name of the company was, but it's my understanding that they went out of business in 2011. So Sandy at the time switched to IQS, which stands for InfoQuick Solutions. They are a software company based out of Syracuse. And ever since June of 2011, everything that we get in, we either take it in electronically or we scan it in after we get it, so that's into the system. It's on our servers down in the basement. It's on their servers in Syracuse, and it's also backed up on their backup system in Romulus, New York. So if you'd have to blow 3 places up for us to lose all the information completely. We have so far scanned in all of our deed records up down to book 1184. In other words, we have 1,183 books like this that have not been scanned and digitized into our system. So this is what we're going to use the majority of this $169,000 grant for, to get that done. Then when a title searcher, an attorney, a surveyor, us, a genealogist, anyone wishes to access any deed that we've ever recorded here, it's going to be available at the tip of your fingers online on our website, or the IQS website. No longer have to come in here and go through these books and ruin them worse than what they are. And so that's what we're going to use the majority of that grant for. We've kind of estimated the number of pages. As you can imagine, every book has a different number of pages. sometimes as many as 100, 150 different, and we didn't want to go through and count all the pages in 1,183 books. So we estimated how much we were going to need. So we anticipate that there's going to be a goodly portion of this grant left over when we're done with them anyways, and then we're going to start digitizing some maps, both appropriation and survey maps that we have, business certificates, corporations. If we get down that far, we have naturalization records, marriage records, and other permanent records that need to be digitized at some point. I mean, we're not dreamers. We don't have enough money here to digitize every single record we have in the entire building, but we'll get that point someday. So that's what this is for.
So what's the procedure that you have to go through to do that? You're just taking a picture,
No, go ahead.
Oh, these have already been put on microfilm, but the problem with the microfilm is that it's in the silver version, which just means we can't put it through the microfilm reader. So we're gonna send all those to them. They charge 20 cents a page in order to convert the microfilm images into the digital images for the system. And we've estimated about 640 pages per book, so it adds up very quickly. And then with the maps also, the appropriation maps we don't have in microfilm form, so if something were to happen to that record storage area, they're gone forever. Those cost a little bit more because they're a very weird size, but we'd have to actually send the physical maps to our software company, and then they would be able to do them. Most of the things on the list that he just mentioned, we do have in microfilm, so it's cheaper, easier, quicker for them to do. It's just going to be a process getting it all done. So.
And the one thing with these older books, now the stuff we've done since 2011, if I want to know every single thing that you've ever done as far as deeds, right-of-ways, anything like that, business certificates, all you got to do is put Parker Susan, and boom, there's the whole list. When you get into the older stuff, it's called index books. And there you put in a last name, and then you just go through it's divided up into a series of years, so you don't have to go from beginning to end. But for example, might be like 1932 through 1939. So you just go through until you find what you're looking for. It gives you a book number and a page in that book. And the ones that are digitized in already, you just go to the top of the page and you put in the book number, the page number, quick, boom, and there it comes right in front of you. Which is what's going to be the case with every single one of these once the project is finished. And then, well, the next project is getting some of these books fixed because, they're very historical. And they go, like I say, back to 1811 to the founding of the county. We want to get the oldest ones. We have an empty room now that we no longer have a historian. And so we have room to store probably 45 to 50 of these books in the rackage in that room. So we plan to take 45 to 50 of the very oldest books and put them there so they're not accessible to anybody without us unlocking the door and them going in and us knowing about it. So we can save them forever.
So just to clarify, you're gonna digitize all these deed books, and then there will be some left over, and you're gonna do,
There'll be some money left
Whatever you
over,
can-
yes.
There, with what we were approved on with the ARPA money, that was originally to cover all the deed books, which with like a little bit of wiggle room, which should cover most of the appropriation and survey maps that we have. And then we have another resolution coming up to get the rest of the funding for the rest of our list. Okay.
So you're redefining how you're using the money, but you already have the money, is that correct?
We do not have the money because the legislature has not approved us having it yet.
Okay,
We've been awarded the money,
you've been awarded.
but we don't have it.
Okay.
Good? Okay. All in favor of the proposed resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Our next resolution is
Oh, what's over here?
digitization of archival records.
Well, seeing as we haven't gotten a grant for doing any of this in probably close to 6 years, the grant money has just dried right up. And whoever knows when any might be available again. We're gonna take advantage of getting as much stuff done as we possibly can right now. And we have a fair, excuse me, a fair amount of money left in our budget due to the fact that we haven't been able to hire some people this year that we wanted to hire. Some that we have hired took the places of people who made a whole lot more money, and so we have extra money there. Anyways, all said and done, we got $90,560 of what's going to be unused payroll and benefits money that we want to put towards further digitization so we can get some more of this stuff done. And Emily made a nice list today. So we plan not only to do maps and business certificates, we're gonna try to get incorporations, naturalizations, marriage records, surrogates, court records, other miscellaneous records, and if we get that far, mortgages, which sometimes they're important, but basically all mortgages back 70 years have been digitized, and very seldom in a title search do you need a mortgage that's been paid off for 30 years, but occasionally they do. We took one book down to the place that's going to fix them for us so you get an idea of the price. And of course, wouldn't you know it, that's the book they needed this morning. But we found them a copy on
So
microfilm.
We digitize the first resolution, we digitize the second.
Basically, it's
left?
$250,000 of
Have we
digitization.
done most of it, all of it, some of it,
We would have done
percentage maybe?
almost everything on this list. So what we would be leaving out would be the extremely old historical court cases, permanent records that really we just right now have to hold on to, but we haven't gotten the okay for the digital copy to be the official copy yet. So that could be something that could come up in the next few years. But most of what we're trying to digitize right now is things that people will want access to that we can't produce right now. It takes time in order to do that, manpower, staff. So the
Is there a
focus.
fee for this when people want this information?
If they do it at home, yes.
We charge $1 a page for copies if they come in too, but then they have to do all the legwork in order to find them.
Okay.
We have online access to our system, and it's used by tons of surveyors and attorneys' offices, and also individuals. It costs $25 to have 24-hour access, or you can get a whole month for $150. Unless you don't live in New York State, then it costs you
$25 a day.
$250, yeah. There's a lot of people that do genealogy. I think one day's all they want to look at it. And basically, we used to charge $15 for a half hour because we only have certain choices that our software vendor offers. And if you don't know what you're doing, you can waste the whole half hour and never get around to it, you know, with a whole day's. So we, give a whole day's access. And in order to do that, it raises your price $10. But it's much more user-friendly. And plus, we get $1 for every copy that they print. Basically, they have to give the credit card information when they first get in there. And just what we've done so far, our online usage has increased our yearly income from the system $60,000 to $70,000 over what it was the year before. So we have that much more revenue coming in. And when we get everything on, I think genealogists are gonna go crazy. And then we'll probably, get another $20,000, $30,000 a year.
Well, if I start using it, you'll see your revenues, because I'm gonna.
You don't even own a computer,
I
do
would
you?
just get 2 days, because it's gonna take me a day to figure out what I could do the next day.
I could teach you. We have a public computer here.
Yeah, which you can use for free.
Oh,
In fact, we have 6 public computers that you can use for free.
anyone?
Anyone.
It's also
But you have to come in.
legally
I had a guy last week ask me, is there a cover charge to come in your office? I says, no.
Only when
But-
there's a band playing.
But what, yeah. But yeah, we have public computers here. You can come and use them free anytime you want to. We're not gonna sit there all day and babysit you. But, we
Then I
will
guess
give
I won't
you,
come in.
we will give you minor help. We have other things to do than that, but yeah, once you know what you're doing, it's not that hard. In fact, the newspaper guy comes in every month, and that's where he gets all this information for these sales that they're putting in every weekend newspaper. I told his boss, I says, you save all the money and the time of him driving back and forth and get a subscription so he can sit right at his desk in his office, but somehow the guy talked him out of it because he likes leaving the
Yeah, sure.
office.
I get it.
I have a question.
Yes.
So how is, just in terms of this funds,
Mhm.
this is a surplus on your, like in your employment?
Yes.
And then last week we had some discussion about surplus that,
Going forward.
so that would
In
be
next
like,
year.
and that's
2024.
from now forward, okay.
We
Yeah.
addressed that for next year's.
This,
Okay.
this
I
is
just wondered.
more than surplus, I guess I'd call it unused.
Right. And
Budgeted
so you
funds,
actually have
yes.
kind of.
It was in the
That's
budget.
completely under
We
your,
just haven't used it for
This is
that.
actual. Yeah.
got it, okay.
So we're not going over budget at all. In fact, we'll still come in under budget for the year.
This is just one sub-department's extra money, so.
Okay. I know they're gonna take back some of the vacancy stuff. You probably saw
Mhm.
that.
I saw
last
that.
year. Yeah, last week, I should say.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, we currently have one vacancy, and the only reason we have that is I've already hired as many provisional employees as I dare to, because once the testing comes out, you don't know if you can keep them.
Yeah.
So, we'd be better off not to spend 4 months training them and then having to let them go than spending 4 months training them and letting them go,
Mhm.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed? Carried. Thank
Think
you.
those- Can we show you something, seeing as it's the end of the day? I think we told you about this before,
You
but
were told about
I know you were.
Gas
Yeah,
this.
oh yeah. Our old gas cans are 50 years old, and they're broken.
is that,
Well, they still work, but the handles are broken off and they're hard to carry, and so we ordered two new ones.
Are those empty or full of gas?
They're empty. We have to take these to Albany, and Albany has to test them before we can use them. But
those are the,
these are the new ones. And every single gas pump in Chautauqua County has to be checked every single year for accuracy. Have to pump 5 gallons in as fast as you can, and then you pump 5 gallons in as slow as you can. And there's a line right here. That's exactly 5 gallons. And it tells you how much over or under you are, and you have to be within a certain range there. In fact, most times, believe it or not, when the gas pump is off, it's pumping more than 5 gallons of gas, costing the merchant money. So we're helping out the retailer by stopping them from giving gasoline away. You know, you stop and think about it, when gas is $4 a gallon, which it basically is, a tenth of a gallon is 40 cents. So a tenth, or 25% of 1/10, which is minuscule, is a dime. So if you're giving that much away with every 5 gallon purchase, you're losing, a place like over here, $30 a day times 365 days a year. So it's as much to, help the merchants as it is the retail customers. And like over here, you see 2 pumps, but there's a regular and a premium on each side. So they have 8 pumps over there. So now you start adding them up, and that's how many pumps we have to check every year, on top of scales, blueberry scales, the
School scales.
scales, and I mean, we even check milk tanks for farmers, bulk tanks, trucks that go around and deliver to your home. We have to check them for accuracy. We have all your unit pricing stores, over 100 stores. It's a lot of work for 2 guys, but they sure get it done every year.
Yep, they do a good job.
That's it. Thank you for your time, and thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
Thank you for not letting me knock the microphone on the floor.
We only get one shot at that, Larry,
That's it.
and you were successful last time.
We're the end of the agenda, right?
No,
No? You got other?
but wait, there's more. Thanks, Larry. All right, we have a couple under other, we'll call them late resolutions, I guess, although that sounds so negative to say it that way. Necessary resolution.
There you go.
Necessary, I like that.
That
Good
didn't come in on
evening.
time. So the first one is approving benefits and wages for confidential employees and unrepresented employees.
Good evening, Patrick Slagle, County Attorney. This is a resolution, it's a companion resolution. Anytime we have an agreement with a labor union, this generally goes along with it. Just, believe it or not, a couple months ago, you approved the labor contract with CSEA 6300. They're still working on just the final version, and we're going to be signing that shortly. But as we're getting close to the end of the year, we want to get this resolution in, and this just allows certain employees that are not covered by the bargaining unit to have the same benefits that were negotiated by CSEA 6300. It's a general resolution. When we did the 1-year extension, we had this go along with it, and so it just that's what that is. Sure.
How many?
I'm sorry if I can answer. Sure.
Yeah. No, I just wondered how
Just
many
this one
people
time,
are.
yeah.
Yeah. How many employees does that represent?
I believe Deb had just left a handful. I believe
Just a few,
about a
yeah.
dozen, if that much.
It's a big hand.
It's I mean,
That's just more than a handful.
It's a 230.
yes.
Okay. All right. Questions, comments, concerns? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Carried. That brings us to our next timely resolution. Authorize sale of tax foreclosure property in the village of Silver Creek.
Thank you. This resolution is being brought. If you looked at the memorandum of support, just, again, reading that, Mark Geis had wanted this to be brought as soon as possible to allow us to go forward. In 2021, the legislature approved a potential transfer of this abandoned Silver Creek School on Main Street to a developer. Unfortunately, that project had fallen through. At this time, however, Stell, which is Southern Tier Environment for Living, and Park Grove Realty are now taking a look at the property for a similar purpose, looking at affordable housing for seniors and persons with disabilities. And so therefore we're looking to have this property transferred and redevelopment of that site and a contract to be negotiated for that purpose. So essentially this kind of went through in 2021, unfortunately fell through, so now we're just looking to update the paperwork and allow that transfer to abandoned property. I think this would be a well-utilized development.
So we're allowing this to happen if they're interested in doing it.
Correct, and hopefully this time it goes through.
In the village of Silver Creek,
This has been
ongoing.
I guess I shouldn't say problem, this has been a property that's been there for a while, and with the hope of somebody taking it on and making it all it can be.
Exactly.
I sound like an attorney now.
Not even-
I don't get paid like that. Okay,
Yeah.
seems painless. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Anything else for us, Patrick?
Well, if the committee is open to a brief discussion, we can have a brief discussion. We talked a little bit during the budget sessions about the changes in the 18B rates, the 18B panel for indigent representation, and there's been some back and forth discussions on kind of what's going on with representation of cases and how it affects the county budget in 2024. So what's being passed out to you is prior to 2014, the county attorney's office represented individuals in custody visitation matters. So if an individual goes in family court, usually two parties, the public defender represents one, and the county attorney's office represented the other individual. The idea is that everyone pretty much in family court is entitled to an attorney. If the county attorney's office doesn't step in and provide counsel on some of these cases, they get assigned a counsel through what's called the 18B panel. That panel used to range from $65 to $75 an hour. Recently, the state legislature raised that rate to $158 an hour, quite the increase. So before 2014, the county attorney's office, an individual named Scott Harley used to represent individuals. After 2014, a contract was entered into with Legal Assistance of Western New York that they provide that representation. That first chart that is in front of you essentially is a flat rate contract. So we paid them, if you look in 2022, the contract was $147,810 to take on 200 cases. They had two attorneys taking on 200 cases. And they did say how many hours they worked in each case, but again, it was just a flat rate each month we'd pay them. What this chart shows you is if that 18B rate applied, how much we would pay if Law New York didn't take those cases, if they just went over to the panel. $483,995 in 2022 would have been the cost to the county. If the county law department, the next column over, using an attorney, paying an attorney about $90,000 a year plus fringe benefits, costs about $125,000. And then again, down you'll see the 2023 numbers. So essentially, we were in negotiations with Law New York. Hopefully they continue that. I mean, it's quite the savings. You see the contract savings number of having a contract agency do that. Law New York is, because the attorney shortage, is no longer able to continue providing that work. So now the county's stuck. What to do? Do we look to contract with another agency? Do we have the county attorney's office take on these cases? Do we do nothing and let it go over to 18B? The second page, if you look, is we have received a proposal. I don't want to at this time disclose the proposal, but this is just a breakdown of what another agency will charge to do the same work, taking 200 cases per year. You see at the bottom, $428,000 the first year. Again, 18B, that new rate of $158 an hour, is really driving the cost to represent individuals in family court who are entitled to attorneys. So the third page is kind of my proposal, is that the county attorney's office sort of take on that work as we did prior to 2014. You kind of see just a diagram of how it kind of worked up of what the county attorney's office is doing. There'd be in the middle that law department, that's the general, all the contract work representing different departments, the agencies, councils of the legislature, we act in that role. That box all the way to the left would be kind of a new division, you could say, of the county attorney's office, where we'd have an attorney, maybe two someday in 2024, if we could hire another attorney, would take on this role of providing representation to indigent individuals entitled to representation in family court. You know, just going to the last page, this is just kind of the law department breakdown of everything the law department does, and you see all the attorneys we have in the office, the 5 of us, and kind of what's being done. Clear, you know, obviously it's a tough situation to think about what to do. If the county attorney's office takes on these cases, I don't think we'd be able to take on all 200, so there'll still be some going to the 18B panel, but there'll be savings there. We'd save cases from that hit of the increase. The issue is, though, if you look at all that's being done, right now I'm suggesting we take one of these attorneys and they'd be handling all family court cases. Well, then what happens to their work? It gets piled onto the other attorneys in the office, and you know, already as you see, you know, there's a late resolution or a late contract. It's just so many hours in a day to take on this stuff. Hopefully in the new year we'll have a paralegal to help out. Looking maybe if we could find the budget and the permission to add another attorney, but still kind of still puts us behind, because it's still taking on that family court work is going to be a lot. It's definitely increased, and so wanted to come today. I share this with the chairman, Mr. Chagnon. I shared it with county executive and the budget director, just kind of the numbers and the situation we're looking at. You know, again, just to recap, doing nothing, you're looking at $500,000 increase potentially to the county budget. You know, if we take it on, there's a savings, but there's workflow issues that we have to work through.
And have you looked at, like you said, Law New York was $12,708 a month or something?
Correct. Correct.
So have you looked at any other equivalent thing,
Yep.
or
So,
is that?
so the second page that's part of the RFP we put out.
Yeah.
So this is actually a proposal from another agency, and what they'd be suggesting is a yearly cost of $428. So that's
equivalent to
to
what
do
you're
nothing,
talking
just letting it go. Yeah, to go with 18B.
And that was the only proposal received.
Only proposal received as of this date.
Okay.
Right. And we'll continue to look. I mean, should something come in, but you know, again, it's the issue is how do you bring, even we would struggle bringing an attorney saying, come work for the county, make $90,000 a year, work 40 hours, when they could say, if I go work on the 18B panel and take 40 hours of cases times $158 an hour, it's hard, you know, that change. And I was just at NISEC last month, and I actually raised this with ILS. I said, I understand what you're trying to do, raising the rate, but do you realize what it's costing counties? And a couple other county attorneys agreed. They said it's causing issues with how do we pay for this? How do we find attorneys if we want to do it in house? It's a struggle, and so that's kind of where we're at this place. I just want to bring that up for discussion. And
So if we did hire an attorney, like to take this on, I'm gonna try to word this right. Is it possible to have an attorney then that could take these cases on that wouldn't have any conflicts with any of these cases?
So any attorney, and again, right now, what I would do is if I'm projected to do that starting January 1st, is to have one of my attorneys I have right now take the cases. They will not be able to take any family court cases. And so if we hired an attorney, they'd have to come in and give up any private practice they have, because it would be a conflict. They couldn't, because unfortunately a lot of the individuals that have custody cases, and these are just custody cases, may also have a neglect case. Obviously that causes an issue because social services prosecutes the neglect, so we as a county can't be representing an individual that's against the county in a neglect. And so, you know, there's those issues you have to be very careful of. And yeah, so that'd be hard. So to find attorneys, and that's kind of why Law New York has gotten out of this, is because they have individual attorneys who have, you know, see that, well, why am I doing this at a very structured rate when I go do it on the private side? And I know criminal courts also have this 18B, you know, issue as well. With family court, it's a lot of, the times have changed. There's no overhead. I'd say 95-98% of the attorneys in family court are solo operators out of their living room. You don't need staff. You don't need brick and mortar. A lot of it's still even virtual at times. And so to say that you can go hang up a shingle outside your house and take on these cases, and I've had conversations with the courts as we've been progressing with this, and I mean they're strapped for attorneys. They have, I think, 8 or 9 attorneys on their panel list right now that they refer cases to. And so to say that you get 20 hours a week of work in family court is extremely easy to get that. One court appearance is going to get you at least 5 hours between travel time, waiting, if you have to make any kind of motion. I mean, so it's to say that it's, you know, all out in the clouds making that money. It's not really. It's
Yeah.
We're seeing the facts.
So the legal division for indigent services, how is that different than the public defender?
So that's kind of the construct I've created just under the office. The idea is that when presenting this to the court is that the individual that's going to be kind of in that box, that division of the county attorney's office, that's the person doing the family court cases. Because what we don't want to get into as an issue is that if, and I'll use one of the attorneys listed on this page, so Tom Rankin, if he's taking these cases and he's on vacation or he's not available, we'll have to let the courts know that the county attorney's not going to send anyone else over there. It's that person's almost like a solo practitioner. So that way we don't have all of our attorneys stuck over in court, because you know we have 2 judges, large dockets, so we want to make it clear that we have this separate division that they're handling these custody cases. No other county attorney is handling this, so it's not just a swap this attorney for that attorney.
Whereas the public defender typically does other kinds
Yeah,
of cases?
the public defender, I mean, they take custody cases too. You know, they have 4 attorneys in the family court unit. And so oftentimes what happens is when clients appear in front of court for the first time, they're advised of their right to counsel, and they're given public defender's affidavit to fill out, see if they're financially eligible. So that gets sent to the public defender's office, and there's always 2 individuals, generally 2 or if not more. And so public defender can only take 1. So if it's a husband-wife custody issue, you know, public defender, if they have a relationship with one of the individuals already, they'll take that, so the other one gets conflicted out. So usually they'll go to this 18B panel where the court assigns an attorney to them. What we do is we have stepped in and said, well, we'll take that conflict case first as a savings to the county. And prior to 2014, we did that because of, you know, just issues and, you know, the work it takes. You know, we kind of stepped down and said, well, we'll put a contractor in that to save it from going over to the 18B list. Well, now that contractor's pulled out. And so there's the concern, I mean, it's happening right now, and if we don't do anything in next year, it's going to continue to happen where someone files for custody, they get referred to public defenders, the public defender takes 1, and 1 is going to spill over to, and this is only a very small subset. This is 200 cases. This is going to be, I mean, that 18B list, you know, that budgetary amount, it's going to increase because there's more than these 200 cases. There's still neglect cases. We want to be taking neglect cases. So anytime you have a child abuse and neglect case, there's oftentimes you could have 6-7 attorneys on one case. And so a public defender can take 1. The rest of the cases have to get assigned out someplace. So still, this is only a very small piece of the pie that we're trying to solve. But it's, you know, as you can see by the numbers, if we could save the county $700,000, it's thing. But again, it comes at a cost, at least in the initial part, is, you know, kind of a slowdown in the workforce of the county attorney's office until we can maybe get some more personnel on board. But even with hiring an attorney, if we hired one more attorney to help with this, there's still a savings there compared to just doing nothing. So that's kind of where we're at. So not that any decisions needed now, I mean, it could be
Right.
more discussions as we continue to go on, but I just wanted to bring it to attention, and Budget Director's been amazing working with me and helping me with the numbers, and is very well aware of this, and
Well, I'll say I appreciate you
Yeah.
being willing to even entertain this and to take it on at whatever level we can take it on at. So thank you for that.
absolutely. And if there's any questions or that you think and ponder more, just feel free to reach out to me, and you know,
Okay.
I'll continue to come, and any other committee that wants to. I mean, I'll be available Thursday morning for audit control, depending on that schedule, and so.
Go
Is
first.
this
I'll
it?
come
So
in.
this isn't gonna be voted on this month?
No, there's nothing,
just-
I guess, really to vote on, because there's no new contract. It's about us taking on the work. You know, eventually, next year, every 10 years, there's a charter and administrative code review commission, just like the salary commission. So next year is 10 years, so you'll have to vote on a resolution to appoint that commission to look at the charter. I would make some suggestions at that time to like formalize the structure, but nothing has to be really done at this point. We can just take on those cases as the county attorney's office that we've always done. Maybe in the future, we have more of a structure, it's more spelled out in the code.
And maybe add another attorney at some
Maybe,
point,
yeah, and next, you know, into 2024, we'll look to, you know, maybe go through that process and see how the budget looks to add another attorney to help out with this.
Well,
Yeah.
do as much as you can for as little as possible.
That's the goal.
Good, thank you.
Thank
Yes,
you.
thanks.
Anything else for the good of the committee? Motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn. Thank you.
Thank you.